Hey. Hi, Michael.
Hey there, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I just wanted to quickly introduce Michael. Michael I think, um, is our guest today, and welcome, Michael.
Hey there, thank you for having me on the program. Happy to talk about whatever you like and whatever comes up.
Yeah, sure. Um, I'll quickly introduce myself as well. I'm Swarna. I'm a founder of Magic Polygon. It's a storytelling app for kids. I'm really looking forward to talk to you.
Yeah, very
And
good. Yeah, been looking to talk to you since we got this all scheduled and lined up.
yeah, yeah. Um, um, Michael Michael is the author of uh, 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 a series of books. His latest book is How to Create a Personal Brand in 10 Steps. Michael, could you please talk more about yourself, and then we can go into the go we can talk further.
Yeah, sure. So I am a content developer, content marketing consultant, and have been working on some personal projects over the last couple of years, in addition to client work. And the most recent project, as you mentioned, is how to create a personal brand in 10 steps. Kind of started as a manuscript, right? That was sort of just like this exercise in getting all my thoughts out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had started it actually before my other books and put it on the back burner for a while. And
Mm-hmm.
then last year, I returned to it and had a better vision about how I wanted to flesh it out and get it wrapped up, and realized that I wanted to turn it into a video course. So
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of the final push to get the book out as the script, more or less, for the video course. I would say the video series has more content to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit more graphical and visual, obviously, than a book can be. And that, I think, drives some of those messages, just to help kind of connect the dots. But, some people don't need those particular aspects, so they really are able to just kind of follow the step-by-step instructions in the workbook version and make their way that way instead.
Great. So you can have the workbook and the video together, and it'll make more of a connection, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I think that maybe the workbook itself is really kind of the bare bones vision, and the video series has a lot more examples and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
to just kind of illustrate, really kind of like how to think about the processes. And obviously, there's a lot of like visual elements in there
Mm-hmm.
that basically address how to create and distribute the projects that you work on.
Great. And the video courses, where are they available? Are they available in YouTube, or are they Udemy course? I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, so it's on Udemy and it's on Gumroad.
Uh-huh.
Udemy is the stripped down video series, and then basically on Gumroad you can buy the video series and also get some one-on-one consultation to walk through
Oh, wow.
each one of the steps.
Okay, great. Actually, when I was looking into your profile, I saw your most of your books are focused earlier on with photographic. It's like a photographic journeys across space and time. So I was looking into some of your other books, like Chicago Exposition, 1893, Chicago Exposition. So could you talk more about that? I also saw that the book is available as a audiobook as well. I'm really very curious to know. I initially thought it was a photographic book, and then realized that it's an audible. So I would like to hear more about that.
Yeah, so in 2018, I started offering up some photos from an antique book that I had gotten from a client of
Mhm,
the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago, the
mhm,
Columbian Exposition. So
mhm,
as I was working through that, I decided that I would turn it into a book. And, that's the first one. It is very photographic, but obviously there's a lot of editorial in there to just kind of flesh out what people are seeing.
mhm.
And after that, I turned it into a documentary film. So that is also available on Amazon Prime and Gumroad. Actually, I forgot I put it up there. Yeah, so that's available for international audiences as Amazon Prime really kind of distributes to America and the UK, but
Mhm.
there's some restrictions in terms of distribution through there. So I put it on Gumroad, and anyone in the world can purchase it off of there. So that's a real benefit, I feel like.
Yeah, wonderful. And also there is another your other book, not book. I mean your other video about uh, uh, national park. There's a book also, right?
Yeah,
About the national parks.
yeah. So there's volume one. I am currently working on volume two of Exploring Our National Parks.
Mm-hmm.
That basically goes through 9 parks. The next one, I'm not exactly sure how many parks will make it into the final draft that's in
Mm-hmm.
the book, but working on the edit for that, about to start the layout. I wanted to start last week, but you know how it goes. So it's a little bit later than I wanted to, but it's all on course to be released in the fall. So that one is basically, again, a book, and you can get that as an audiobook if you want to just hear me talk about some of the adventures, or you can get it as an ebook or a
Mm-hmm.
paperback. And then there are videos for, I believe, 4 or 5 parks. So
Mm-hmm.
those are available as a series on Gumroad as well. And to be able to basically turn content into different formats, whether it
Mm-hmm.
is pictorial or editorial or a social media component, or a video series, that's really kind of what the How to Create a Personal Brand project is about, is basically transmuting whatever it is you are strong at creating into some of the other formats that you might need a little more help with.
Great. What's your favorite national park?
That's impossible to answer. I'm sorry. There's just way too many good ones. Yeah.
So, and um, uh, is that a workbook? No, right? Like I'm trying to understand.
No, it's just a photographic book of my experiences in national parks. I've been to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
20 or more of them. I don't know my exact count, and I've been to a few of them multiple times. So, um, in that case, like I grew up by a national park that
Uh-huh.
wasn't a national park when I was growing up, but it's become a national park in the last couple of years.
Wow.
So, like I've been there. I don't even have enough. I have lost count how many times I've been there, because I've been there so frequently, over my life, that basically, like, I couldn't document every time that I go there and offer that up. So I just try to kind of give some, I don't know, historic perspective as
Mm-hmm.
somebody who is looking at a place that is very local to me, and develops into something else.
And also, every place has a memory of us associated with that, and the place itself has a history, right?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, I was looking into your website. There, it looks. I mean, it was mentioned that like you've covered 9 national parks in your volume one, right?
Yeah.
And you, I mean, are you going it in a particular order? Like, is there any logic that you're aligning the parts with
No, no, there
sequencing?
there really isn't. So the way it started was that I had been writing about these things for a number of years, and then
Mhm,
I was looking for a project to release after I did the exposition project, and I knew that the
mhm,
branding one wasn't
mhm,
ready yet. But I
mhm,
had all of this writing about national parks, so I basically went through and cataloged all that,
Mm-hmm.
And then as I was doing the layout, I realized that it was going to be impractical to put that all into one paperback just because of time constraints and layout, and then also the cost of doing things. So I wanted to break that into 2 volumes. So the second volume has more or less been written for 2 years now.
Wow.
But it's been sitting waiting for layout. So I just, as I'm revisiting it, basically have been doing one final pass of edits on the content there so that I can get it ready for placement and make sure that I didn't miss any particular errors or things that I don't necessarily want to be in there
Mm-hmm.
anymore, as maybe my perspective on things has changed or whatever. So writing up the bookend components of that, basically the introduction and the wrap up kind of editorial that will be an intermission or a segue into volume 3, which I am currently writing but am not done with.
Great. That's awesome. And um, you mentioned that you have not decided that how many national parks are you going to cover in this volume 2, right? It's not yet finalized. Or it's.
Uh, no, I'm not exactly sure how many are going to make it into it because I haven't done the layout yet. Um,
Mhm.
but again, I think there will be at least 7, and there's a repeat because I went to Yellowstone two
Uh-huh.
years in a row,
Uh-huh.
and the experience that I had the first time was very different than the experience I had the second time. So I really want to contrast those two things, even though it
Wow.
is the same park. What I
Mhm.
did when I was there was very different, and it is a massive park, and there are so many features that I just don't think that it's practical to basically, um, you know, uh, say this was conclusive and really like this is the definitive version of Yellowstone, because there, I think you could go to Yellowstone every year for a lifetime of years and really experience different things.
Ah. So every time when you visit, you get a different experience and different perspectives.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Miriam is saying that you have to publish this with the Bootstrap.
Hey, it could happen. We could make that happen. We'll have to talk about that, before too long, because basically, I'm wrapping up volume 2 here. Maybe there's a way to work with that.
Great, great, great. So I have I mean, I want to understand, like, you, what made you think that you have to document all these photographic journeys? How it all started? Was it your childhood passion, or what was the starting point?
No, no, definitely not. The thing was really, I had been a musician for a number of years
Mm-hmm.
and kind of wrapped up that phase of things. I performed for like 15 years and doing,
Wow.
gigs and tours and albums and all kinds of uh, different formats of music over the years, and then really kind of didn't want to do it anymore. So I started looking around at something else creative that I could do. And I had been doing photography
Mm-hmm.
for, like journalistic publications and things like that. And just
Mm-hmm.
kind of started to lean into photography and get really into it. And, you know, that kind of took over for what music was. And it allowed me to think compositionally. And then
Mm-hmm.
when you're thinking about, say, maybe a park, right? One
Mm-hmm.
single park is really like a song. And then when you are putting multiple parks together into a book, it's really like an album to me. It is an album,
Wow,
it's an album of
it's a
photographs.
fantastic
And
correlation.
yeah,
Yeah.
and to me, like that's the same thing. Making records and making books, I really see it the same way. And it's basically just the nature of being creative and exploring different formats.
Great. Um, So you mentioned that you started writing this a book about a personal branding, and you put and then you kept it, and you started doing these other projects and came back to write this personal branding book. Like, how does these experiences help you in changing anything related to the personal branding uh, content?
That's a good question. So when I initially started the branding project, I had wanted to utilize examples from other people inside of the
Mhm.
book, but then it kind of turned into a scenario where, oh, I'm gonna have to ask them for releases on their content and everything else. And as I was doing that, I started to say, okay, well, I have begun applying these same methods to my projects personally, as
Mhm.
opposed to client work or other professional relationships that I have. So what I
Mhm.
can really do is utilize the Chicago 1893 project or the National Parks project as examples, as test cases, as case studies within the branding project itself,
Mm.
and then really promote those things. But then also, I don't have to ask for releases or permission or worry about people, meeting my deadlines or anything like that. So that was kind of the reason that I really pushed on those projects to get them out the door and make them
Mhm.
available in advance of this one.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense, and uh, it's very, very uh, well planned. I would say it's well planned. Uh, say, for example, if someone wants to build their own personal branding, what would be your general advice? I know definitely they have to buy your book, and other
Right.
than that,
Yeah. So that's that is kind of the reason why I put that together. Obviously, is to give people the shorthand, step by step process. There's not
hmm
one thing that I can say that people should do except
hmm
start. That would be the
hmm
thing, is just get started with it. Once you do begin to do that and go through some of the steps in the book and in the video course, then hopefully, it helps to crystallize your trajectory and give you a better sense of, maybe what products or services or how to speak about what you are already offering the public,
hmm
right? Because I
hmm
think a lot of times people aren't necessarily sure how to uh, make sure that everything is packaged, and
yes.
they are maybe wanting to be one thing or another. But the reality is that, like, when you go through that process, then
hmm
it helps to distill down what is viable and what is again, packageable for people to consume from you. And that's you know what I've been doing over the last couple of years just for myself, because I had never really been promoting myself as an entity. Yes, I had been doing bands, or I had been working for clients, or
hmm
branded channels over the years, but nothing was against my own name personally, and that was basically the same exact thing that I did. For me, is what I'm putting in that book, in that video course.
Great, great. And this is a question that I think, like, I want to understand as an entrepreneur. Um, in my case, I'm thinking like how to build a brand for my own company, right? Rather than personal branding, it's like a branding for a company. Do you see any similarities between these two things, or are there any difference in how to approach these two things differently? Any thoughts from your side?
I think there's a great amount of overlap, so much so that I've considered just ripping through the content and changing a couple of words here and there, and re-releasing the book as a how to create a business brand in 10 steps, because it really is, you need all of those same things. Whether it's a personal brand or it's a business brand, you're going to want that stuff. And and to be able to develop those assets for deployment and just the thinking processes as well,
Mhm.
so that you can get those ideas out of your head, get them on paper, turn them into imagery, begin creating video, have a website. Everything that's outlined inside of there is valuable, whether you are an individual or you are a business.
Great, great. That's awesome, actually. I don't know. I have whether you know about the Magic Polygon app. Like one thing that I would like to add is um, like it's a kid storytelling app where parents can invite other people storytellers and tell stories to kids. And in future, probably we will be adding. Books from authors. So if you are planning to make a kids version of the national parks book, then we would definitely be interested in having it.
Oh, well, I would say the National Parks book is pretty kid friendly, and
Okay.
I have actually thought about creating a children's book for
Hmm.
the Chicago 1893 project as well. I've actually drafted out the story in an outline,
Wow.
so it is something that's on my mind, but maybe not necessarily on the front burners of the stove yet. But it is definitely on my roadmap for some point. And
Great.
in terms of Magic Polygon, yeah, I'd be happy to work with you in terms of developing, your brand strategy and your promotional strategy for it, if you are interested in doing that.
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely get in touch with you. Um,
Yeah, for sure. Are there any other questions or things that you were thinking about that we can talk about here, or anything that made you think about something you wanted to follow up on?
Sure, I would definitely get in touch with you. Maybe I'll take. I think I have your email ID, so I'm going to get in touch with you. So
Yeah, for sure.
because right now I'm also in the process of building brand for my company, so I would definitely love to get in touch with you and talk to you more.
Perfect. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much. Um, uh, it was awesome talking to you. There's a lot of interesting perspectives, and I'm also going to check out your book. Uh, Thank you so much. And is there? I
Yeah.
mean, so sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, no, you go ahead and finish.
No, I was telling if someone wants to connect with you, then uh, they can check out your website, right? So maybe we
Right.
can. Yeah, we'll add it to the video.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so that's michael-finney.com. I know there are other Michael Finneys online, but I'm the one that looks like the image here, and I'm very available on social media, wherever you find yourself, whatever platform you prefer. And the other projects are on social media too. So if you go to my website and you want to connect with any of those projects, particularly whether it is the Chicago project or the National Parks project or the branding project, they all have social media profiles, and you'll see them promoting whatever is the most recent aspect of each of those projects. For example, the Chicago 1893 project is preparing to release an augmented reality experience this summer,
Wow.
and the How to Create a Personal Brand project is now releasing a series of podcast recordings that I did earlier this year. So there's always something coming out for folks to engage with and learn from, hopefully. And happy that you have taken a look at that.
Sure, sure. Amazing. I'm really curious to see the augmented reality part. Um, I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, it's awesome. I love it. I have spent the last year developing that, and we are getting very, very close to releasing the first building to the public to have that experience.
Wow, that's awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you so much for taking time to talking to us in this video. Um, Thank you so much. It was awesome.
Absolutely. I appreciate you taking the time, Swarna.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank